guest today, and I'm looking forward to this meeting. This is our new Asia call that we hold every single Thursday here in the United States at this time. And I think we're about a month through, or in week 3 or 4, but we're really anxious to grow this call. It's an exciting call, what's happening in the Asia market all around the world. I'm J. Michael Smith from Texas. I've been with For Life over a decade now, and I was introduced to Dave by a mutual friend 10 years ago. Dave has become a wonderful friend. His wife Gabby and my wife Judy are great friends. And I'm actually semi-retired now, but I'm one of those seniors at 75 that could never ever completely retire. I just love networking. I love people. I love community, building communities. But anyway, I want to get this meeting started. Dave, you have a very, very special guest that I've never been introduced to. So I'm looking forward to this. I know you two have a wonderful relationship. But Dave, I'm going to turn it right over to you, sir. Thanks. Good to see you, sir.
Thank you, Jim Michael. Yes, this is our new Asia. And I'm not going to say just opportunity. We do things, on this particular call. We try to have a variety. And so we're going to be doing spotlights now and then where we'll spotlight a particular individual or even a couple or family. In this case, it's really an entire family, although the head of all this really is Ridwan Sadik, and he's got an amazing story. So we will be having spotlights like this with individuals. But at the same time, we'll also be doing opportunity presentations and trainings and things like that. So invite your people to every week. You can look at the calendar on uplinepro.com. Again, www.uplinepro.com. Rexy, maybe you can throw that in the chat so everybody has it. Go there and register. The reason we want you to register on Upline Pro is that we have a great communication system now so that you'll always be aware when we're having trainings, events, whatever we're doing. And there's also some tools there. We've got a napkin presentation that I use when I present because it's short, about 15, 20 minutes you can run through to present to people. And there's other tools there as well, plan of action. There's even a 1 hour formal presentation with all kinds of YouTube links with videos and stuff. But it's just our way of staying connected to the community. And we also have the Facebook as well, social media. One of the Facebook pages that we have that a lot of people really like to go to is our Good Health Stories and Solutions. It's a private Facebook group, and it's private because people are sharing their stories in there, their testimonies. So you have to request, or somebody has to invite you to that Facebook group, Good Health Stories and Solutions. So I recommend as well. And you can find all that on Upline Pro. There's a link tree. So when you go to Upline Pro and you do get registered, you can go to the back office and the link tree will connect you to the WhatsApp community so that there's communication, to the various Facebook groups that we have, the private ones, and then of course the Zoom calendar that we have there. So thank you everyone for joining us today. I'm Dave Daughtry, for those of you that don't know me. I've been involved with For Life since October 20 was the day I signed up. The day I received my first bottle of For Life Transfer Factor was September 1st of 1998, but it was October 20th was the day that actually changed my life, where I met David Lisenby. My wife and I, Gabby, we flew to Utah, and that was the day I realized that I would be missing out on an incredible opportunity if I didn't join and take advantage. And I did. And that choice, that one choice, changed my life. And because of that, I've met so many people around the world. Been to 108 countries, you guys. 108 countries I've been to. And we're not talking about just landing in an airport and then leaving. I mean, spent time in these countries. And I have to say that of all the places I've been, people ask me all the time, where would you, if you could live anywhere, where would you live? And I say right where I'm at, in San Diego, California. That's where I live, on a mountaintop in San Diego, California. I love it here. But if I had to choose somewhere else, there's two places. One, if it's tranquility I'm looking for, and just kind of the countryside and just nature, the South Island of New Zealand, Queenstown. somewhere out in that area. It's beautiful, it's tranquil. And the second, all right, and really they're kind of tied. If I want to be somewhere that's so diverse, so clean, so safe, just the transit system they have is amazing. Their underground transit, just so organized. It's the melting pot of Asia. And that's Singapore. If you've not been to Singapore, you guys, if you're ever going to Asia, go through Singapore. It's the hub. From there, you can get to Thailand, Vietnam, Malaysia, anywhere, Indonesia. If you're going to go to Bali, go through Singapore and fly Singapore Airlines. They're like the number one in the world. So, our good friend here today does live in Singapore. And a couple of times, Gabby and I have gone through there. Him, his family have gotten with us. Just a wonderful family, great people. So, I'd like to welcome our guest today, Ridwan Sadik. Ridwan, welcome. Good to see you, my friend.
Thank you, Dave. Good to see you. Good to see everyone in this meeting room. I'm actually surprised to see a lot of familiar names in this room, and I believe they are from Singapore because, yeah, like for example, we have. Let me just say hello. I mean, hello Vikas, Jaspreet, Rexy, Evis, Dino. Okay, Fish is a presidential elite from Singapore. Huda presidential. Rifai, presidential from Singapore. Iqbal is a new diamond. He just hit diamond in January. Guys, it's 11 p.m.
Nice.
now. You guys are not sleeping yet. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Well,
Yeah.
the sun never sets over there,
Sure.
as they say in Singapore and Malaysia.
Yeah.
So for those of you that don't know, Ridwan, he actually is a gold with For Life, so a gold on his way to platinum. But in his family, I mean, Ridwan, how many golds and platinums are there in your family?
There are two platinums and two golds
Isn't
in the
that
family.
amazing, you guys? Two
Yes.
platinums, two golds.
Yeah.
And we're talking as immediate family. We're talking about,
Yeah.
father, uncle, aunt,
Yes.
and so you guys have made this a family business, which is pretty awesome. I mean, and that's the one thing I love about this business is that
Mm.
once one family member sees the opportunity through influence, they share it with the others, and everybody can be part of the For Life family and change their lives, in many many ways. So, but with that, Ridwan, let's get started. I want to begin with really who is Ridwan, your background. I'm curious because I honestly don't know your background before For Life. Excuse me, everybody. My baby boy's behind me. They're walking around. Um,
All
Before
right.
For Life, you had, kind of your family has a life or experience in this industry. So let's kind of go way back before For Life. Tell us about you, your family, a little bit of history, how you were introduced to this industry, and what kind of led you up to For Life.
All right. Okay. So, but first of all, thank you for having me here today. It's really an honor to share my journey with everyone here. My exposure to this business actually started long before I joined, because before I ever became involved in For Life, I was already watching the people around me build the business. My late father, Sadiq Din, was a platinum in For Life. Now it's my mom. My aunt Sheridan is also a platinum, and my uncle Akram is a gold. So growing up, I saw this business up close. But what many people may not know is that my parents actually came from a very humble background. Growing up, life wasn't always easy. My parents, they didn't have a high level of education, and like many families, they had to struggle, they had to work very hard, just to provide for us. But what they showed me was something very powerful. They showed me that success is not determined by where you start or how educated you are. It is determined by how badly you want to change your life. And so my parents, they went against many odds, and watching that growing up as a child gave me a belief that ordinary people can really achieve amazing things in this industry. But but here's the interesting part, because even though I saw the success back then, I still wasn't interested at the beginning, because back in 2004, that was when my parents got involved, and that time I had just finished my national service. because in Singapore we have this thing called national service. Basically, every boy when we turn 18, we have to serve the military or the police force for like 2.5 years. So for me, I was in the military 2.5 years, and that time I just finished military, and like most young people, my thinking was very simple. I just want to get a normal job, earn a stable income, and live a normal life. So when I first saw network marketing, I was actually quite doubtful. Like what is this? Health products and everything. And on top of that, I was quite introverted. And so the idea of approaching people or talking about a business, all this they felt very uncomfortable to me. But one thing I really respected about my father is that he never forced me to join a business, because he knew that if someone is not ready, then forcing them will not work. So instead, what he did was he inspired me by leading by example. So so I watched him build a business. I watched the lives that he changed, the life that he was helping, and slowly he started making me think. And that was during that period of time, that was when I get to know about Dave, I get to know about Jeff, and I was thinking like, who are all these people coming to Singapore? and and that was that. Another reality that I was facing was this: living in Singapore is not easy, because Singapore is, often ranked as one of the most expensive cities in the world to live in. So even though I wasn't married at the time, after working for 6 years, I realized something. I realized that if I continue doing what I was doing, my income would probably stay the same. And if the cost of living keeps increasing, but my income stays the same, then life will eventually become difficult for us. So eventually in 2010, I decided to give the business a real chance. So not because I was confident, because I have zero experience in network marketing, but because I realized I had to do something about my income. And my father used to say something that really stayed with me. He said that take action whether you feel ready or not. And he said it's okay to feel afraid, that it's okay to feel uncertain, but you must still move forward. Because if you want to change your life, you have to go into the trenches. You have to do the uncomfortable things. So, and like many people in this industry, of course, the same goes for me. The beginning was not easy. There were people who didn't believe me. There were people who doubted me, people who rejected me. And there were even some people who mocked me. I remember one guy, he was from the military. He asked me a question that I will never forget, because after I talked to him about the company and everything, he asked me, so what are you driving right now? And at that time, I didn't even have a motorbike. So, but and the funny thing is, right, when I first started my this business, my dream was actually very small. All I wanted at that time, all I wanted was just to earn $3,000 a month. 3,000. At that time, I thought if I could make $3,000 consistently every month, then my life would already be great. But as I continued building the business, I started to realize something very interesting, because that dream of financial freedom wasn't just my dream. It was a dream that many people shared. And over time, something even more special started happening. And and it's that my family, like my siblings, they began building the business together. You see, I'm the eldest of 6 siblings, and today all of us have accounts in the For Life business. Two of my sisters are bronze elites. One brother is a bronze, and another brother and sister are presidential. So even among my cousins, the business has grown. One of my cousins is a silver. Two of them are presidential elites. And so through this journey, I realized something important. Because if you truly believe that something is a great opportunity, that your program is the best opportunity, then you would share it with the people closest to you, isn't it? Because if you are in a program and you don't even want your family to be a part of it, then you have to ask yourself, is that really
Right.
the right program? Is that really the right vehicle? And the beautiful thing about this business is that leadership grows everywhere. And over time, I met leaders who are even better than me. Some of them are actually inside this room, and some of them are in my own family. So for me personally, the progress came step by step. I would say I was a slow builder, but and within about 2.5 years, I was earning a comfortable 5-figure monthly income. And let me tell you, 2.5 years, 5-figure is relatively slow in our community. I was one of the slow ones, I would say. And about 2 years and 10 months after starting, I bought my first dream car. It was a BMW Z4 convertible. And in 2015, I reached the rank of gold, which was one of the most meaningful milestones in my journey. And through this business, I get to travel. I began traveling to many countries. For Life is so generous with the travels. I travel around the world, like places like before this, I only seen in travel magazines that I saw only travel blogs. I've been there. But beyond the car or the travel, the thing I'm most grateful for is the freedom that this business has given me. Today, I live a life of what I call total freedom. I get to be a full-time father to my 3 kids. I'm not governed by a boss. I'm not governed by a fixed schedule. I choose when I want to work. I choose when I want to rest. I choose when I want to wake up. I choose when I want to sleep. And I choose when I want to travel. And for me, that is perhaps the greatest blessing that came from this journey. Because at the end of the day, success is not just about income, right? Success is also about having control of your time and your life. And that was when I began to realize that something very powerful was happening. This business was giving ordinary people like you and me the chance to build something extraordinary, right?
You know,
So,
Sadiq,
yeah,
what's great about your
yeah,
story, that I
yeah,
love about your story, is that you didn't come into For Life with a team of people from another company. You literally started from scratch, from the bottom.
yeah.
And this business, For Life, and this business model has transformed you. You know, it's taken someone who you said was introverted. I was the same way. I grew up very introverted. I was highly intimidated by people. You know, I was afraid to talk to people. But like you said, if you want to change your life, you got to be uncomfortable. You know, that's the only way things change is by stepping out of that comfort zone. You know, I just heard somebody say yesterday, do hard things. If you do hard things, guess what's going to happen? You're going to change. And so just that part of your story to me is amazing, you know. So okay, so obviously your entire family now, you've got from presidentials up to platinums, which is really cool. I love that. And I'm curious though, how did you guys even learn about For Life? What was it, you know, all of a sudden that you and obviously your entire family were exposed to For Life? But go back to then, and at that time, how did that happen?
Okay, so I think this was in 2004, um, and to my recollection, because one thing we have to note is that at that time I wasn't involved in a business, so this is the stories that I hear from from my dad, from my aunt, and I understand that in 2004 that was when my aunt and my dad they were in a different company, also a US company, and I think that I think it was you, Dave. It was you.
Yeah,
It was you. You came to
it
Singapore, right?
was.
Yeah.
I was going to
Yeah.
Singapore
Yeah.
actually because we had an affiliate that just joined named Indra. You
Yeah.
remember Indra?
Yes, yes.
And
Indra Virasing,
Indra
yeah.
was living
Yeah.
in Australia,
Yeah.
and he happened to be in the US. He traveled a lot, and he was, I mean, at that time, he was probably like in his 80s. I mean, he was an older fellow. He's passed away, of course, because we're going back to 1999 or 2000.
Mm.
The Indra joined, and he had a contact named Richard Coe in Singapore. And I was traveling, I think I was on my way to a particular country, and I stopped in Singapore for Richard. And I was staying at the Intercontinental Hotel in Singapore when it was Jeff Altgilbers and Linda Emerson called me. And they
Yes.
said, hey, we want you to go speak to this person named Sherry Din, which is your aunt. And I was there, like I said, for Richard. At the same time, the company was looking at hiring a director over Asia. His name was Michael Seat. And Michael was not yet with For Life. And so I basically kind of pulled this is just what we do as networkers. I pulled a bit of a trick, if you will. I was talking to I contacted Sherry, met with her. She kept me up until like 3 in the morning, just I had a lot of saute, put it that way, a lot of saute with peanut butter, chicken and peanut butter sauce. And so we talked and talked and talked, but she was in Foramore. Your whole family was in Foramore,
Yeah, yes,
another
yes, four
company.
more.
And so, but I knew who the president of Foramore was, Steve Moretta. He's from LA. He was in Herbalife. When you've been networking for as long as I have, you hear of people, you know people, you meet people. And I told Sherry, I just said, look, Foramore is not going to support you in this market long term. And so eventually she trusted us and she joined. But the way I got her, just so everybody knows, I called For Life and I said, I need Michael Seat's phone number. And they said, well, he's not with us yet. I said, I just want to talk to him. I got his phone number, called Michael Seat, asked him if he would have lunch with me at the Intercontinental Hotel. And he said, yes. I called Sherry. I said, Sherry, will you have lunch with me at the Intercontinental Hotel? They didn't know they were going to meet each other. So Sherry comes, and then Michael comes walking in and sits down and said, Sherry, I want you to meet Michael. Here's the director of Asia. And he looks at me and he goes, wait a minute, I haven't signed a contract yet. And I said, but you're going to, right? And he said, probably. And he did. But the point is, I wanted to show Sherry the support that she was going to get. So, having said that, I'm curious. You guys, through Sherry, obviously, he was the first one to join. After that, I'm curious what happened? How did things happen? And then Michael Seat, obviously, you met Michael. So, tell us about that relationship between Michael, your family, Sherry. How did all that kind of come into play?
Yeah, so 2004 they got in for life, and they just started building. Just from the get-go, they just started building, and I if I remember well,
Action.
yeah, they just took action. They go massive, and Sherry was actually one of the fastest goals. She got to goal in 18 months. And Sherry. And then, even though they started in Singapore, they began building in Malaysia, and then they started going to Indonesia and also a bit of Philippines. And I think after 6 years, my dad got to platinum, and he was the first platinum outside of USA at that time. And I think Sherry got her platinum in the 2012 or 14, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. Yeah, but I got in March 2010, and then my dad got to platinum in April 2010. So I got to contribute a bit to his platinum. Yeah,
Here's a
but
here's a fun
yeah,
picture actually. While you're talking, I'm
yeah,
just going to share a
yeah,
couple of pictures.
yeah.
You might remember this. This was in 2017.
Oh yes, yes, yes. That's right. This is at the Arab Street. Yeah, I remember this dinner. It was a dinner that we had.
So this is tell us about the people in this picture.
Okay, so okay, that's Dave and Gabby, obviously, and then that's me looking much when I'm like I think I weighed like 10 kg or 20 kg more during that time, and then the one in red is my mom and my dad is beside him. They are the platinums, and then the one in the blue hijab is my auntie Sheridan, platinum. And the one on the extreme right is Akram. He's a goal. He's my uncle, my dad's younger brother. Yeah,
So I mean, think
yeah,
about this, you guys. In this family here, you got
yeah.
many millionaires. Sadiq Gold. You got Hasnima and Sadiq in the middle there, platinum. Sherry with the blue,
Mm,
platinum, and Akram on the end, gold. So
yes.
what a stellar team of people. It's
Yeah, yeah,
awesome.
yeah. But
So
yeah, it's all about teamwork, in the family. Yeah. But one thing I need to point out is that because they never gave up on us. They always keep sharing about the four life. So even though like me and my siblings, the second generation, we were quite stubborn back then, but they have never failed to keep on sharing with us until one day we just open our eyes and we start doing this business seriously.
and so I'm curious,
Yeah,
was there a point where because obviously network marketing, we partner
yeah,
with the company.
yeah.
Was there a point where because Singapore wasn't even open? I mean, these markets were just, there was really nothing. And because of you guys, obviously, you know, we opened up not just Singapore, but Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, and so that partnership between your family and For Life, at some point, you obviously became very comfortable and high level of trust and so forth. But having come from other place in this industry, did you guys? I'm curious. At what point did you realize that this is a great partnership?
Yeah. So I guess when I start to to become more serious in the company, I began to evaluate. I mean, I began to evaluate the company, and I began to appreciate the company even more, especially in For Life, because it's not just about how hard you work. It's also about where you're building. Because over the years, I've seen,
Right.
in this industry. I mean, when I do the business, I've met many leaders in many countries, and at the same time, I've seen many companies, they just come and go. Some companies, they start with a lot of excitement, a lot of hype. They grow very fast. People get very excited. And then a few years later, the company just poof, they just disappear. And when that happens, unfortunately, all the effort that people put in disappears together with it. And that's why in network marketing, choosing the right company is absolutely critical because we
And
are,
one of the things
yeah,
too, Sadiq, I mean,
yeah.
Ridwan, sorry. One of the things that I think is extremely important too is what tells you a lot about a company is
Mm.
not just the culture, but the people. How long have they been in that company? In other words, I'm
Yes.
talking from the executive standpoint. All right, we understand affiliates, they come when they go, whatever. But when you look at the core executives, all right, how long have they been around? Well, let's take Sherilyn. How long Sherilyn been around there?
Since 2004, that's like what,
22
22
years.
years, 22 years. Yeah.
In
Yeah.
fact, when you guys
Mm.
joined For Life, she was the first GM. Well, aside, Michael became the director, but under Michael, the GM of Singapore and Malaysia, the very first one was Sherilyn, correct?
Yes. And she's still the GM today.
She's still the GM today. That
Yes.
says a lot. I mean, when I look at that, I'm like, you
Mm.
don't see that in companies these days.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one thing I'm really proud of the people in For Life, like you said. Because usually when I meet leaders from other companies, they tell me that, oh, they've been in this company for 2 years or 3 years or 5 years, or then they jump to another company. But people in For Life are building for many, many years, some for decades.
Legacy,
Yeah, yeah. And
building a legacy.
yeah, and that's what we want, right? Because we are
Yep.
building, I mean, we are not building something that for 1 year or for 2 years. We are building something that we hope will last for decades. And so my
Right.
father used to explain this in a very simple way. He said, building the For Life business is very different from other programs that only depend on hype and excitement. And he said that those programs are like building a chicken house or a chicken coop. You can build a
It sounds
chicken
like
house.
Sadiq.
Yeah, you can build a chicken house very quickly. It goes up very fast. It looks exciting, but it can also collapse very easily. But building the For Life business is more like building a skyscraper. Because when you build a skyscraper, the beginning can feel slow because most of the work is underground and you are
Right.
building the foundation. You are strengthening the structure. You are developing leaders. But once the skyscraper is ready, it becomes something that can stand for generations. And that idea really stayed with me.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
doing that,
Mm.
that's how you develop a residual. Look, I always say if you're going to work in life, we all have to work, do
Yeah.
something where you can establish a residual income, passive income. So heaven forbid something happens,
Mm.
you have that money still coming in, which this segues perfectly into what I'd like to ask you because this is an important part of your story. Let's talk about, and I know this is a personal thing to you, let's talk about what happened to you because you went through a challenge, um, which kind of puts you in a situation very scary, that physically, what happened, and then at the same time your entire family with your father's passing. So if you don't mind, just kind of share the importance of having that residual and having a solid company where you can depend on it, not have to worry.
Yeah. So what happened was that this was in I would say late 2022, I had an accident in the gym. I squatted too heavy, and what happened was that my stomach went up through my diaphragm. So I had an accident, and after that, I went for surgery in Singapore. But
Hiatal hernia, correct?
yeah, hiatal hernia. Yeah. So basically, the stomach went up through the diaphragm because of the pressure. It went up through the diaphragm and was touching the heart and lungs. So I went for surgery to correct that. But unfortunately, that surgery injured my vagus nerve, and I had complications, and I had two more surgeries after that, and that was like really bad because when your vagus nerve is affected, right, it it basically affects everything else: your heart rate, your digestion, your breathing, even your oxygen saturation. So for almost 2 years, Dave, for almost 2 years, I was incapacitated. You know, I was mostly bedbound. I was mostly housebound. I was on a wheelchair most of the time for that almost 2 years. But this is where it gets really interesting because even though I was not able to work for that almost 2 years, For Life has never failed to pay me my monthly income. And that is something really special and something that I really appreciate, that I'm really grateful for. And that happens because the system was already built. And it's not just the system, it's also the people in the system who step up and who continue building. And because of that, I'm deeply grateful for these people, and some of them are in this room, like all these leaders in this room. Because of them, the system keeps going, and because of them, my family was still okay. My wife doesn't have to get a job or something like that. And that is the power of passive income, guys. Like, most people, they don't realize this. They don't realize this until like life really slaps them on the face. Like when they get an accident, or they get sick, they get a disease, when they get retrenched, when they get fired from the job. But here in For Life, when you build something, when the system is ready, it will continue paying you and your family. And that's
And
also
that
like,
only
yeah,
happens,
yeah,
when you have a partner that takes their responsibility seriously. And that's one
yeah,
thing I love about David Lisenby and the entire For Life executive team, all the way down to Sherlyn, and is the GM of Singapore and Malaysia. They take their responsibilities very seriously. That's why they've never paid us a day late, and it's always correct, and the company's always their service. They're always willing to bend over to serve us and to help us. And so we're very, very fortunate and blessed to have that. In fact, I think at some point we kind of get used to it. I mean, we've been with For Life now for over 2 decades, and so we kind of get, which is okay. I mean, I trust For Life completely, but we can get comfortable. And so, what a wonderful blessing to. I mean, unfortunately, you had that accident, but you were blessed to be able to, not have to stress about where the next dollar is going to come from to pay for your bills. And you had to have a wonderful, wonderful business, and then of course with your father, if you don't mind sharing that, that story as well, because you kind of stepped into those shoes too. You're literally running a family business now.
yeah. So my father, Sadiq, he passed early last year in January of 2025. Um, and the account now belongs to my mother, and that's the wonderful thing about For Life, because my mother doesn't need to ask for help, because right now the income that they both built while they were working together, they built this together. Well, everything that they built, and it's not just volume that they built, they built leaders, because they understand it's a people business, and many of these leaders are still building to this day. And this account is now belongs to my mother, and because of that, basically, she doesn't need to ask for help. This is the importance of residual income. So this is the chance for us, like this is a chance for us to build something that we can leave for our family, for people that we love. Because a lot of people, when they pass away, what they left is, you know, are debts. But here you have a chance to leave something meaningful for your family. And that's the beauty of having passive income for life.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, obviously we all age, you know. I mean, I'm going to be 66 here in a couple of weeks.
Wow.
How old are you, Ridwan?
I am 45 this year.
So you're the baby of the family, huh?
No, no, no. I'm the eldest of my siblings. There are
Oh,
smaller babies,
okay.
like for example, there's Sarah here, who is a smaller
Oh,
baby.
yeah, Sarah. Okay, yeah. Hey,
Yeah,
Sarah. Yep.
yeah, yeah,
Wonderful.
yeah.
You know, but you've stepped into some, you know, pretty big shoes to
Mm,
help support, you know, because obviously, you know, Sadiq, your father, you know, he was really a powerhouse. I mean, I love listening to Sadiq. He was always funny. If any of you have ever seen Sadiq, I'll have to find a video sometime and share it. But his trainings were just not only educational, they're humorous, you know, and he always wore a cowboy hat, you know. So just and I've got some pictures, you know, here stored that I'll have to dig through and find. But just a wonderful, you know, trainer and family, and he's passed that on to you. So his legacy continues, you know, which is wonderful. You know, so very,
very
very,
big
very
shoes to
blessed.
fill in.
Say
Very
that
big
again.
shoes. Very big shoes to fill, but I'm doing my best.
No, you're doing
But
an
I'm very
awesome
fortunate.
job.
I'm very fortunate that I'm getting like the best kind of teamwork and cooperation from many of his existing leaders. Yeah.
Let's talk about the team.
Okay.
So you live in Singapore, which is a very small country. I mean, you can drive across the entire country in just like what, 2 hours?
I think from east to west, maybe how long, guys? 1 hour, right?
1 hour.
Yeah,
You know,
east
drive
to west.
cover the whole
Yeah,
country in an hour in your car.
yeah.
So very small country. So obviously your business, you began there in Singapore, but you know, you begin, I tell people begin locally because that's where you tend to know, you know, your people you associate with, but think globally. So you guys obviously have expanded. Your business has gone up into Malaysia and Thailand and of course down in Indonesia. So let's talk real quick about For Life and globalization. You know, I don't know when it happened, but you guys obviously expanded from Singapore. So kind of share that. How did that kind of evolve? Where did you go after Singapore?
Okay, so from Singapore, I went to Malaysia first, and then this is for me, my own personal account. So I went to Malaysia first, but at that time, like my dad, my aunt, and everyone else was already building Malaysia, Indonesia. I was just starting out, but I went to Malaysia first, and then after
Was your
that,
dad living, were they living in Malacca at that time?
no, 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 he was still living in Singapore at that time.
Okay.
Yeah, so I joined some of his trips, and I work with some of his close leaders, people like Rifai here is in this room. There is Nazrul here who are in this room, Bol Nazrul, and basically, uh,
Nazrul.
yeah, yeah. And then from Malaysia, I started exploring Indonesia. I remember like the first, one of the first town that I went to in Indonesia was Medan, and I didn't know anyone there. And me and my wife, we just decided to, okay, let's just go there and see how it goes. So we went to Medan, and what we did was we find out we visited all the newspaper offices, and we find out, okay, how much does it cost to rent an ad? And that was all we did for that one trip. We stake out hotel lobbies. We see like, okay, which lobby is good for prospecting. And the next month, that was when we started advertising in Medan, and eventually we built a bronze and about 50,000 LP in that town. Yeah. So it's just about it's just about doing it. Even though we are unsure, we are uncertain, we are doubtful, we just have to do it, and that was what we did. And then after that, when COVID hit, uh, we shifted most of our work online, and that was when we really grew because online we reach out to people all over the world. In fact, that's like one of the things that surprised me the most, because when I started building this business, right, uh, the thing that surprised me was how far it could actually grow. When I first started, I was just thinking about my own income. I never imagined that one day this organization would grow internationally. But today, our team has expanded to around 20 countries. I know Dave is doing like 50 plus countries. For us, it's like 20 countries. And that's something very special about this industry. Yeah, and network marketing is one of the few business in the world that ordinary people like you and me can build something globally without needing millions of dollars in capital. Like
That's
in
right.
traditional business, like if you want to expand internationally in a conventional business, you need offices, you need employees, you need huge investments, you need complicated systems. But in network marketing, the growth happens through people. People share with people, leaders develop leaders, and through duplication, the business grows naturally. And of course, it also has a part to do with technology. Yeah, technology played a huge role in making this possible. And what I mean by that is that in the past, we had to meet people physically, to share the business, to share the opportunity. But today we have Zoom. Today we have social media. Today we can connect with people from different countries instantly. And that's the thing. Social media has helped accelerate this even more. But when it comes to social media, right, you don't need to be a professional influencer. These are just some of the tips that I learned from my sisters, the younger ones, people like leaders like Fish, who is inside this room, like Sarah, like my cousin Nadia. These people, they are the ace of social media. I learn a lot from them. And the thing about social media, right, you don't need to be a professional influencer. You just need to be consistent and you need to be authentic. And there are three simple principles that I learned from them. Wait, hang on, let me see my notes for. Okay, so the three simple principles about social media. First, consistency beats perfection. You don't need perfect videos or you don't need perfect posts. You just need to show up consistently on your social media. Second, is you need to be authentic because authenticity attracts people. People want to see it raw. People want to connect more with real stories and real experiences. They would rather do that, they'd rather have that than polished marketing. And the third one is that, and I think this is one of the most important ones. When it comes to social media, right, education builds credibility. When you share value and knowledge, people begin to trust you. At the end of the day, social media is not about trying to become famous. No, it's about becoming useful. It's about becoming valuable. And when you become useful to people, opportunities naturally begin to grow. Yeah.
You've got people here too in the US. So you got a team in what, New Jersey, I believe.
Yes, yeah. That one is just starting out in New Jersey. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah,
That's what's great about networking, but networking with a company that
yeah,
also has the same vision of globalization.
yeah,
Far Life diversified pretty quickly. I mean, we went into Singapore. Well, New Zealand was the first country that we opened. People say, well, why New Zealand? You play follow the leader. The same reason we opened up Malaysia. We opened Malaysia because of you guys, with Sherry and your dad and everybody getting involved from Singapore. It was natural, led to Malaysia, and
mhm,
of course Thailand, Indonesia, and so forth. But For Life being having the same vision of building a global network has allowed us to be able to take advantage and expand. And if you look at today too, Ridwan, I think you'd agree with this. People say, well, how's the opportunity today? It's wide open. I mean, on a global scale, we're
yeah,
pretty small, honestly. When you compare companies that have done billions and billions and billions, For Life still is just wide open for growth. Wouldn't you agree?
yeah, yeah. That's right. And actually, right, if in For Life, right, it is very easy to go global. Do you know that in other companies that if let's say you are in Singapore and you want to have an account in Malaysia, you have to register a new entity in Malaysia to start building a business there. But in the for life business, it's so seamless. Like you can be in Singapore and then you can sign up someone in US and that someone in US can sign up someone in Philippines. If Philippines can sign up someone in Russia. It is seamless. There is no requirement for it. So if you are in a for life business, you really need to take advantage of this. Okay, you build local, yes, but when you have the chance, you have to build globally as well.
And I always
Yeah.
say, ask your people, who do you know?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows somebody these days that lives in another market, another country. But if you
Yeah.
don't ask, you may lose opportunities. So I'm always asking my people, who do you know? Who can we reach out to? That's networking 101. So
Yes.
But that's awesome. You've got such a global business. So I'm
Mm.
curious, Indonesia, is that market as well? Is that part of your organization?
Um, I have a small group in Indonesia. Indonesia is mostly, I would say, under my dad's organization and my aunt Sherry's and some other leaders as well. But from what I understand, is that back then, I think, sorry, I can't remember. I think it was in 2007 or 2008 when the Indonesians started joining. And that time, Indonesia doesn't even have an office. So what they do is that they come to Singapore, they buy the products, and then they bring these products back to Indonesia. And that went on for many years, for 2007, 2008, 2009. And it was only in 2011, am I right, Pak Yushan? 2011 that they launched in Indonesia. And by that time when they launched, they already like have a massive market over there. But it goes to show like how hungry people are for this
Right.
company and this product and our system, of course. They are willing to go to Singapore, buy the products, bring back to Indonesia, just suitcases after suitcases, just to build a business. And that is how much they appreciate that is the drive that they have. And they made the right move, because what happened to Indonesia, because it just went massive, and there's already one platinum in Indonesia, and I think, was it 10 goals?
Yeah, it's a number of
12 goals?
golds. I know that.
Yeah, two
Yeah.
goal release. Yeah. So that was
So
really great. Yeah.
let's talk
Yeah.
about the importance. Obviously, you've built a solid organization, a solid community. Let's talk about the importance of that. In my plan of action, I have 4 steps. I just say you have to prepare, meaning that if you're going to talk to people, you got to come from a position of knowledge. You have to know what you're talking about. So prepare your presentation, so take a bit of time to learn. And obviously, we earn while we learn in this business. Nobody knows everything, but you prepare. Number 2, prospect. Nothing happens. You can know everything. You could be a genius with the science and be the best presenter. But if you don't take action, nothing happens. So you have to get out and start prospecting, talking to people. And 3, identify. Identify where you put your time and energy and with who, because you don't want to be beating the same old horse when nothing's happening. You have to. I always say I try to influence people and I push them to a point where I get a decision, yes or no. And that's it. I don't beat them over the head, but I do follow up. And then the fourth one is what I want to talk about: solidify, meaning that as you build your organization, keep your relationships solid. This is a community, a family, a team. So you and obviously your people are really close. So let's talk about that real quick. Your feeling on the importance of keeping relationships strong, communicating and building a solid community, a solid team.
Yeah. So that is definitely like one of the things that has helped our organization continue growing over the years. And I think it's also something even more important than business strategies. It's the community that we build together. And one of the most beautiful things about this business is that over time, you realize that you're not just building an organization, you're building a community of people, people from different backgrounds, different professions, different countries. They all come together with the same vision, and that is to create a better future for themselves and their families. And what I've seen over the years is that the strongest organizations are not built only on products, and they are not built only on compensation plans. They are built on relationships, they are built on support systems. People stay because they feel supported, they feel encouraged, they feel like they belong to something bigger, even than themselves. And that's why I think leadership development becomes so important in this business, because nobody starts as a great leader. Nobody is like, when they start a business, they immediately become like a super leader. All of us, we start as beginners. So leadership is something that is developed step by step through mentorship, through training, through experience, through learning from mistakes. And the one thing I always remind myself and also the organization is that our real job is not just to build income or not just to build volume. Our real job is to develop people. When you
That's right.
develop people, leaders begin to emerge. And that's one of the things I love most about this business. And over the years, I've had the privilege of meeting and working with so many incredible leaders across the organization. Many of them are in this room, and many of them in this room are even better than me in many ways. And honestly, that's when you know that the organization is healthy, when the leaders around you become stronger and stronger and even stronger than you know? And so I'm very proud of the leaders who are growing in this organization today. And what makes this business very special is that when people become part of the organization, something interesting happens. At first, they join as business partners, but over time, the relationships grow deeper. We celebrate successes together. We go through the challenges together. We learn from each other. And eventually it starts to feel like more than just business. It starts to feel like a community that is growing together. And that is really the glue, right? That is the glue that holds this organization together. It's not just a business, it's the mentorship, it's the support system, and the shared journey of growing together in the business.
Well said.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I would say that if you put money first, you may make some money, but you're not going to keep the people. If you put people first, guess what will happen? You can make money, but you'll keep the people because you focus on what you just said. Development. In fact, I even go further. I say God put us here on this earth for a number of reasons. You know, experiences, have a family, feel happiness, sadness, all the things that we feel, the emotions we go through. But we're also here to develop. All right. I love that word, you know, to develop, to grow, and to produce. And that's one thing I love about this business is it can take someone, anybody, and help you develop those skills and transform you and turn you into just a wonderful, well-rounded entrepreneur because of all the skills that you develop. Having said that, one last question, Ridwan. Uh, if you can share with us, and this as we come to a close here, um, any
Wow.
tips, suggestions? You know, as you've gone through and built your business, you've learned a lot. So if you could share with our audience, you know, things that you do, you know, maybe even your daily routine, your plan of action, something that you can share that people can take away and say, you know what, I want to apply this to my business.
Okay. Wow, I didn't realize it's like almost an hour now. Okay, so all right. Before I end, I would just like to leave everyone with three simple thoughts, three simple tips that have guided me in this journey. And the first is this. Number one, be the person that you want to recruit. If you want to attract strong leaders, you must first become a strong leader yourself. If you want to attract people who are disciplined, who are positive, who are hardworking, then you must become that person first. Because in this business, we don't attract who we want. We attract who we are. So that is the first thing. Right? So be the person that you want to recruit. That this will help you. I think this will really catapult your business if you apply this principle. Right? And the second thing that I've learned is to to learn from everyone. See, in this journey, right, I've had the privilege of learning from many wonderful people. Of course, the person who influenced me the most is my late father. He was not only my father, he was my mentor, he was my guru, and in many ways, my greatest teacher in life. And many of the principles that I live by today came from watching how he lived, how he led, and how he treated people. And I learned a lot from him. And I also learned from leaders like my Aunt Sherry. I learned the importance of building a strong system. Like, this is a lady, and she built a solid system across many countries. And I also learned from her the importance of giving back to the community. And one thing about my Aunt Sherry is that really inspires all of us is her generosity. Like, she never talks about the things that she does for others. And in our faith, in our religion, there is a saying: when your right hand gives, your left hand should not know. And that's exactly how she lives, because many of the contributions that she makes to help orphans, to help underprivileged families, are things that we only discover later from other people. And then I learned from Linda in Canada. I learned the importance of humility, of kindness, and from Jeff, I learned what it means to think globally. And I learned how to build across many countries. And from Dave, I learned something very powerful: to stay positive, to be a friend to everyone, and to always see the best in people. But one thing I always remind myself is this: never think that you are the best, because sometimes we can learn the most valuable lessons from the newest affiliates. Believe me, from people who just started, from people who bring fresh ideas, fresh energy. So in this business, we must always stay humble and must always stay open to learning. And that's the second thing. And the third thing, the last one is, let me see, because I don't trust my memory these days. Okay. And the third thing I truly believe is this: there's no such thing as a self-made person. There is no such thing as a self-made person. Every success story is built on the encouragement, the support, and the prayers of the people around us, the mentors who
Right.
guide us, the teammates who support us, the leaders who inspire us. And so before I end, I want to express my deepest appreciation to everyone who is part of this journey, to the leaders, to my mentors, the teammates, the downlines, the crossline, everyone in this room. I look forward to learn from all of you and everyone who is building together in this organization. I truly believe that I am nobody without all of you. Everything we have built today is the result of teamwork, of trust, and support that we give one another. So thank you for being part of this journey. Let's continue doing what we have always done and supporting one another, developing leaders, and building something meaningful together for our future. Right.
Well said, Ridwan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very, very true. Nobody in this business rises, to the top by themselves. It's a collective effort, and that's why I love it,
Yeah.
because we all need each other. We depend on each other. I always say, the team needs you, you need the team, the community. And so that's what we're doing. And the wonderful thing is you said we get to celebrate everybody's successes. And so I want to thank you for being part of our spotlight today. Just so everybody knows, we're going to be this is going to be regular now. We just started this particular Zoom. We're doing this for the Asia market from India and over onto Malaysia and Singapore. I know it's a bit late over there in Singapore. You guys are at midnight now, so thank you for joining. We are going to start up another one too, which will be for the Asia market, but in the daytime. So it'll probably be like 11 a.m. In Singapore on that particular one. 11, possibly noon. We're trying to get it set up, but we'll let you know. I want to encourage everybody again, if you want to stay connected to what we're doing with Upline Pro, just go to uplinepro.com and register there. It's free. And that's me, by the way, just so you know. I'm everybody's upline here, just so you all know as well. All right. So you don't be afraid like, oh, who's this Dave guy? Okay.
Yeah.
And the reason being is that it's my way of being able to stay connected to everybody. And hopefully, I can provide some service to help you all achieve your goals and dreams. That is my purpose these days. I made platinum in 2006. My income went over six figures a month in 2006. And after many years of having that income, I thought, what's my purpose now? It's not money. I've made a lot of money. Well, my purpose now is how many people can I serve and help achieve their dreams? So that's what this is all about. So Ridwan, again, I want to thank you for being, our spotlight guest today. And, you bring a tremendous amount of experience and knowledge to the table to share with everybody. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you
And
for having me. Thank you.
Absolutely. And your entire family, give our love, our best to everybody over there. Sarah, thanks for being here. Everybody that's joined today, thank you for joining today. This has been recorded. Rexy, so everybody know who Rexy is. Rexy's in the Philippines. She's kind of our support, our communicator. She's the one that does all the communications for Upline Pro. And so she'll go through and edit some of this, but we always make these videos available for everybody on our YouTube channel, the Upline Pro
Thank you,
YouTube.
Ridwan. Amazing. You are amazing guy. Amazing story. Thank you. Thank you
Thank,
so much.
thank you,
And thank you,
Vikas.
Dave, for this amazing meeting.
Mm.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, thanks, Vikas. Vikas is our one of our new affiliates in India. And so I'm excited. I mean, that whole market over there is just so wide open and amazing. So, Ridwan, thanks again. Everybody, thank you for joining. Look forward to seeing you on some of our other Zooms. Have a fantastic day, fantastic evening over there in Asia. We love you all. Let's open up the microphones real quick here.
Thank you,
So you
Dave.
guys
Thank you,
share
Ridwan.
the
Thanks,
Thank
love.
you,
Thank
Ridwan.
you.
Ridwan.
Thank
Love
you.
this.
Thank you,
Thank you, Ridwan.
everyone.
Fantastic
Thank
story.
you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank
you.
you so much.
Keep
See you
going and
next week,
keep
guys.
growing.
Everyone.
Bye bye, everyone.
Love
Take
you
care.
all.
Bye.
Bye. Have a great day,
Bye.
Bye,
everyone. Have a
everybody.
great
Thank you.
night.